Okay, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. As mentioned, I am the chairman of the Standards Committee on Blockchain and Distributed Ledger Technologies. Now, you must remember this term, blockchain and distributed ledger technologies, because this is the Standards Committee at the ISO level, whereby we are mirroring. Okay, so in Malaysia, we have also our own committee under Department of Standards Malaysia, and we are working with 40 other countries who are members of the blockchain committee at the ISO level to discuss about blockchain standards. I'm not from the government, by the way, so those of you who may be or have got or may be getting business cards from me, I've got a government business card, but I'm not from the government because I'm in the standards committee at two levels. One at this level and the other one at a higher level, which is basically the committee looking at all IT-related standards. Okay, you've got information security, you've got software engineering, you've got GIS, you've got intelligent transportation, and so on and so forth. So there's one which is basically on blockchain, and I've been asked to lead that committee. Now, you can download these charts from that particular link if you can see it. I have got about 80 charts, but I'm not going to go through all of them because I've got only 20 minutes. Now, my charts are quite wordy. I'm not going to go through all of them because I expect that there are certain things that require you to go back to your respective organizations to discuss with people around you, and to see the way ahead. Now, following on from the presentation this morning, which I think was very good, I would like to bring to another level. Things are going on, yes, in Malaysia, but there are also things that are going on elsewhere in the international sphere whereby we should take notice. And thereby, the gist of my talk is basically focusing, or rather trying to emphasize the government to actually get things going. So apart from statements from the Prime Minister and some documents with regards to anti-corruption and all that, we have to get going faster than that. There's a lot more to be done, okay? Okay, this is just a banner I put here. The best way to predict the future is to create an environment, is to be proactive and move forward. Okay, now blockchain and distributed ledger technology is part of the fourth industrial revolution. I just want you to remember that, only that, because apart from this, I do not want people to have the impression that because it is part of the fourth industrial revolution, then it's got to be handled as one whole unit with the other technologies. From here on, I would emphasize that we should be looking at blockchain in a different manner, the way we handle it at the national level. Okay, this is a chart I've been using for the past couple of years, whereby this is the Harvard Business Review report, and basically says where blockchain is, it is a foundational technology. It is not just an ordinary technology, it's a foundational technology. So the view should look at it is quite like the World Wide Web. 25 years ago, you had the World Wide Web, now you have blockchain. So where we are now, we probably couldn't see where we are now with regards to World Wide Web applications and so on 25 years ago. So that's the same thing with regards to blockchain. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, you can't imagine what's going to happen, but a lot of things are foreseen to be happening. So this is another chart that I always quote, whereby the G20 countries, which comprises basically the majority of population, economy, and all that, is 20 countries, and they have made a statement in their document or the website here about blockchain. It says that, sorry, I don't have a pointer here, but it says that blockchain technologies promise to be the glue that binds all the fourth industrial revolution or industrial revolution, Industry 4.0 elements here. So you have all of this, and it's the blockchain glues them together. So that's the view you should look at it. It's a very important point. By the way, in my charts, I've got the links down there. You can actually go back and download the actual document. Now I come to some examples. For example, the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the US, they've come up with a document about smart manufacturing with blockchain. So that's as far as it goes, right? And they've done something there, and this is how it looks at it. This is from another website with regards to how smart manufacturing is. Basically, to ensure that between the designer and the actual manufacturer, there's no corruption in the process in between. And thereby blockchain comes into the picture. Okay, now this is an example that I quote with regards to a patent that was produced by, or rather obtained by Ford, with regards to intelligent cars. and intelligent transport modes of the future, whereby, in this example, what actually happened in the future, and they have a patent for it, is that cars can talk to each other and negotiate. Right? You may actually go into a lane, you are in a hurry or whatever. The car can talk to another car, hey, I'm giving you some tokens, but give me a way fast to actually move. Now, this is basically an example, a patent is already existing. So what I'm trying to show here as an example is the kind of futuristic thinking with regards to what blockchain can achieve and what people are thinking about. Now, this is another point that I'd like to raise as well, that in China, there's already been a successful case whereby blockchain is being brought to court, or rather blockchain evidence is brought to court, and the person who brought the thing to court won the case. What actually happened was there was a case of imitation of a particular website, and this particular owner of the particular information made a copy of that particular website, including the source codes, and put it in a blockchain and bring it to court and sue the other party, and she won. Okay, the question here is, if this kind of case comes here in Malaysia, can we handle it? So this is the kind of thinking that I'm saying that we've got to think that far ahead with regards to what other countries are doing and where we are at the back. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here, what do these clips tell us? Blockchain is foundational technology, and it covers a number of sectors, right? And the environment whereby it covers is quite big. We cannot imagine as well what is going to be after. And also there's a court case that we can actually use as an example. So my question here, are we in Malaysia ready for blockchain big time? And to me, this is big time that we could move ahead. Okay, this is a chart that indicates countries and world organizations that produce papers on blockchain, right? You can see all these countries here. It's not exhaustive. There are a number of other papers as well from other countries. Unfortunately, none from Malaysia recorded in this particular chart. Okay, so it's not observable. Now, European Union plans for blockchain. Basically, they have got a paper called Blockchain for EU. This is for industry, right? Again, mentioned about blockchain as well. And this is something interesting that happened recently. In October 2018, the European Parliament passed a resolution on blockchain. This is a 12-page document. Of course, some preambles and so on and so forth. But what essentially, and I've got here just some of the quotes, is basically the quote with regards to what it covers or what it recognizes blockchain can do, and what they plan to do is sort of mentioned. You're talking about transparency, public, minimize corruption and things like that. Basically all the good things that you actually want to do with anything in the world. Now, interesting enough, a few months later in December, they come up with another resolution, blockchain for trade, because they know a lot of trade involving. So they also have a paper, and you just imagine the European Parliament, 750 MPs from 28 countries passed a resolution on blockchain. Blockchain, first one in October, and this one in December, blockchain for trade. Okay? Now, some other materials from the US, they have got action plan for blockchain. And then you have got another paper from the Congressional Research Service, also on blockchain. These are the papers from the US. Now, they have got the Joint Economic Report for the US, also mentioned something about blockchain in there as well. Now, interesting enough, the way the US works, I think the US people here who are in the audience can actually verify this, but the way things work in the US, in order to get things done, officially or whatever, especially the big ones, they've got to pass a bill in the House of Representatives. So far, these are what I've recorded. There may be a few others, but relating to blockchain and in some cases here, cryptocurrency. So if you look at this one, it mentions here, expressing the sense of the House of Representatives that blockchain has incredible potential that must be nurtured through support for research and development and a thoughtful, innovation-friendly regulatory approach. So this is in the House of Representatives in the US. Okay? So other materials about blockchain, you basically have, this is one interesting one. This is from a member of parliament in the UK. He wrote a 30-over-page document about blockchain. And one of the things mentioned in this report, or rather in this document, is blockchain, it must have a public-facing chief blockchain officer, I'll read from here, should be appointed from within the government's existing task force to coordinate the UK strategy regarding the application of DLT to public services and data. Just imagine an MP spending time to write a document about blockchain. You know, they've got a lot of other things to do, and they took the trouble to actually do that, this particular member of parliament. Now, how is China implementing blockchain technology? I'd like to spend a bit of time talking about this because it is basically the ecosystem that they have there. And the first part, it says here, blockchain has built a blockchain wall, an ecosystem comprised of 3 major layers. One is basically the funding for research and development, and I'd like to highlight the red sentence here, less importance placed on marketing and more on the actual technology and product design. They're really looking at the excellence of the technology rather than saying, is this marketable, can this make money and all that. Focus on that, okay? I mean, they have the power to do that. And the second layer is a diversified network of universities and incubators that facilitate the growth and development of blockchain initiatives through local to hackathons and blockchain labs. And the third thing is a dynamic financial environment and fast-moving regulatory implementation. Now, China being what it is, a fast-paced nature of the technology requires ongoing reviews and improvements. China could benefit from its political structure to move quickly and provide rapid development and approval. In that respect, they are ahead of the game. And we have to see this kind of trends and development. Well, China is big, we probably cannot compete with them. But in terms of what they are doing and how we should position ourselves as a country. Okay, World Trade Facilitation. Now, the definition of World Trade, or rather trade facilitation, is defined here. You need to actually understand that it's more than just supply chain. It's more than just logistics. Basically, the whole things surrounding that. It's trade across borders, imports, export faster and cheaper and more predictable while ensuring its safety and security, simplifying and harmonizing formalities, procedures, and related exchange of information, documents, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the definition to understand that. So it's more than just supply chain, logistics, and so on and so forth. Now, you basically have a few months ago, in fact, almost a year ago, the UN CFAT produced a paper called White Paper on the Technical Applications of Blockchain to UN Center for Trade Facilitation. And they asked for public comment, which Malaysia actually have done through the process to give public comments. But this has been made through all the countries in the world. Then you basically have, okay, now this is one chart that's pulled from that particular document with regards to how the blockchain, so-called, will be functioning within that envisioned environment. So they have thought that far ahead. Now, I am made to understand that some countries have taken this document and started moving with regards to how they want to get into the picture to be ahead of the game. I am not aware of any structured approach within Malaysia to actually do that, and we may miss the boat. Okay? Now, you also have the World Trade Organization also mentioning about blockchain, and they are in line with the trade facilitation and so on. And I didn't have much to do in some time, and I did a count. In that document, the word Malaysia appears once. The word Singapore appears about 15 times. So you can imagine where we are, where we have been positioned with regards to the rest of the world in terms of world trade. Okay? Now, these are all the text. You don't have to read here. You can just basically mention about blockchain. And you basically have the World Customs Organization. They also mentioned about blockchain. Okay? Okay, let's move on fastly. Last, levels of perceived digital trade barriers. This is just for information with regards to how they see things are having barriers with regards to blockchain. Now, some United Nations projects, United Nations have got a lot of projects, and they're listed down. They are projects that are on blockchain. And they also have a website here that basically brings the various projects together, because it's a very big organization, a lot of diversity and all that. And interesting enough, in the first page or the front page of the website, they basically had the indication about their ideals or the goal. That this is in line with John Lennon's song, Imagine. You have to sing that. Imagine all this. I'm not going to all of them, but basically the good things to happen in the world. Okay, and lastly here, foreign aid will reach the intended beneficiaries without losing 30% of its entirety. This is in relation to the point here with regards to ID, right? And I'm just pulling this chart just to indicate the complexity or the various areas whereby an ID is very, very important in the management of various transactions and activities in any country. Now, other developments, you basically have, I'm going to rush for time here, basically an indication here of what happened, or rather was discussed in the Bank of International Settlement. You can actually download or rather look at this video, whereby this Professor Hyun Sin said, yes, this is how it is now, and there's a lot of pressures from blockchain vendors and solutions to actually say, we got to do the whole thing differently with blockchain. So that put a lot of pressure to them to actually improve their system, and they are doing a lot of good work in terms of improving the system to avoid being blockchained. Okay? So, and this is basically the SDG goals. There'll be, I think, a presentation tomorrow, and there are some elements of blockchain implemented in this UN SDG goals. This is basically a report from Gartner with regards to blockchain expenditures forecasted in future. Now, this is interesting. Potential presidential candidates mentioned something of blockchain in their so-called campaigns. You've got Nigeria, Mexico, Brazil, and this guy, I'm sure you should know, you have got your antivirus, McAfee. Next year's presidential election, he's one of the hopefuls, and everything there or some dimension about blockchain. Okay, related to that, for your information, I mentioned something about blockchain here. Last year, about 1 month before the election, I wrote this blog. And this is the title of the blog. This is aspiring to lead Malaysia for the next 5 years and beyond, must state their position and plans for blockchain. I wrote that about 1 month before the election. Okay? This was because when I looked at the manifesto of both sides, nothing mentioned. Nothing significant mentioned about blockchain. And I was very, very concerned. But there you have, basically, people are mentioning about it. Okay. Fundamental paradigm shift. Now, earlier on, I think Rainy mentioned slightly in passing with regards to the issue of trust. And this is something very important for us to actually understand and digest with regards to understanding of trust. So this is where I would like to draw your attention to the description of what actually happens in the re-implementation of trust within the blockchain technology, or how the blockchain setup is. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but have a look at it and basically see. But it requires a fundamental mindset with regards to how we actually want to handle things. Okay, now, and this is from the US NICT document, Blockchain Technology Review, giving an indication of when blockchain is suitable and when it's not suitable and so on and so forth. Okay, but the critical success factor is that it is a mindset issue to have the right understanding, the right mindset with regards to trust, implementation, and all that, otherwise things will fail. And I think this is a communication that is very much lacking in discussion in Malaysia. And it can be a stumbling block if it's not addressed early. Okay, this is basically some myths I pulled out from McKinsey document with regards to myths about blockchain. Now, blockchain in government, this is from OECD, and mentions about activities, mentions about 202 government blockchain initiatives in 45 countries. Unfortunately, again, Malaysia is not mentioned here for some reason. Okay, now these are some of the use cases in blockchain for government. Now, positioning Malaysia, this is where the title of my talk is, and trying to say with all that's happening in the rest of the world, it is at the world organizational level, countries are moving ahead and all that, especially on trade facilitation, which is a major thing which all countries are involved in. We have to position ourselves. And the summary of what I discussed just now basically is mentioned here. And I will stop take about where we are in Malaysia, and this is my perspective. Okay, there are isolated use cases, there are. Solution recipients may not be adequately trained or guided to assess suitability or otherwise. And to me, with world development on cross-border trade facilitation especially, we have yet to receive significant attention and absence of coordinated action plans, and the government yet to strategize with regards to what's happening here, and no reference to existing standards. Okay, this is my take with regards to all the ministries or agencies that will be involved at least in trade facilitation. So it requires a higher level orchestration with regards to how things will shape up together. Now I've got about 1 minute left, so I'm going to go quickly here. I look at it, there will be two alternatives. One is maintain status quo, how we do currently. We just talk about blockchain and nothing. But here I'm looking at, we have to proactively plan for a bigger agenda at the highest level. Okay, and I basically say for the scenario 2, these are basically the prerequisites, holistic, interdependency, and so on and so forth. It must be very complete. Now, the National Blockchain Program must be directed by the PM of Cabinet. I mentioned this also in my blog. Because of the things happening at the cross-functional, cross-ministerial level, it must be handled at the highest level or reporting to cabinet. And this is how I see basically structured. You've got the Prime Minister cabinet and all that, policy, governance, strategy, master plan, and all that. Now, standards committees, we are quite ahead of the game because we are engaged. Okay, this is talking about an example of if you are not standardized, it's going to be a world issue, then we actually have a problem with regards to talking to each other. So let's move on. So this is basically the organizations that are under the standards committees in Malaysia. And then you basically have the countries that are currently at the ISO level, talking about standards and so on and so forth. And the strategic plan mentioned about what they're doing. So where we are now, okay, I want to mention that we have to recognize that existing standards are applicable, and this must be actually used in our development and planning for blockchain as well. So you don't have to wait for all the standards to be developed on blockchain, because existing standards are also available and applicable. And this is basically the summary of it. Basically, that the standards will ensure that you can establish, operate, and terminate or retire the last end of the work. Okay, so let me see. So basically, that's what I have to say, and this is a famous quote from the founder of the World Economic Forum, and basically to basically have a mindset change because of how you change the problems. Now, my address to you, basically, just to remind that there is this report that was produced some time ago that mentioned about we have a lot of plans, we have a lot of Fourth Malaysia Plan or whatever and all that, but our stewardship monitoring of the plans are not quite up to the mark. We don't want that to happen with blockchain planning at the national level, okay? So my fellow Malaysians, be part of the solution, not part of the problem by actually getting together to actually move this agenda forward. So that's my last chart, and thank you very much. Sorry, I got no questions. I will be around today and tomorrow if you've got questions.